What if you could actually change your life in just 5 seconds? It sounds like a gimmick, right? But that is the incredibly powerful promise behind Mel Robbins' the 5-second rule. So today, we're going to break down this ridiculously simple idea and see how it can help you unlock the courage you already have to completely transform your work, your confidence, and, well, everything else.
Okay, so there's this great story about two young fish. They're just swimming along, and one turns to the other and asks, "What the hell is water?" The whole point, from a famous speech by David Foster Wallace, is that the most obvious, essential realities are often the ones that are the hardest to see. And for so many of us, that invisible water we're swimming in every single day, it's hesitation.
And that brings us to the core question of this whole thing. What if the biggest, scariest thing holding you back from what you want isn't some giant, impossible obstacle? What if it's just a tiny little window of time, just 5 seconds long? That little gap between your gut instinct and your brain's excuses, where doubt rushes in and just kills your best ideas.
So you might be wondering, where did this whole 5-second idea even come from? Well, it wasn't cooked up in some fancy research lab. It was actually an accidental discovery, born from a moment of total crisis. And believe it or not, it all started with the snooze button.
At 41 years old, the author, Mel Robbins, was at absolute rock bottom. Her husband's restaurant business, which they had poured their entire life savings into, was completely failing. Scary letters from lawyers were piling up, and liens were literally being put on their house.
And her career? Oh, it was just as chaotic. She'd bounced from being a public defender to working in tech startups. She even landed a reality TV show that got canceled, leaving her unemployed and stuck in a contract that she couldn't get out of. She was totally adrift. All of this financial and professional stress boiled down to one simple daily failure. She was just exhausted. So exhausted that she couldn't even get out of bed in the morning. She knew she needed to, that she had to, but she just couldn't.
And here's where that tiny little problem snowballed into something huge. Hitting the snooze button wasn't just about getting a few more minutes of sleep. It was about starting her day with an act of failure. That one decision set a negative, defeated tone for everything else that followed. She was already overwhelmed before her feet even touched the floor.
But sometimes it's from those rock-bottom moments that the biggest breakthroughs happen. And that's exactly what happened here. She discovered a way to hijack her brain's default settings and actually make it work for her instead of against her. So let's dive into how this thing actually works.
Okay, the rule itself is shockingly simple. Here's how it goes. First, you get an instinct, an impulse to act on a goal. Second, and this is crucial, you only have about 5 seconds before your brain slams on the brakes with fear and doubt. The trick is step 3. You interrupt that process. You count backwards, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And this isn't random. Counting backwards forces your brain to focus, shutting down the part that makes excuses. And the final, most important step, when you hit 1, you go. You physically move. It's like a starting ritual that shoves you into action.
So why on earth does this work? Well, it all comes down to a concept in psychology called activation energy. It's basically that first big push of effort you need to start something new or hard. Think about trying to push a car that's stalled. That first inch is always the hardest part, right? Well, the 5-second rule is like a tool that generates that activation energy for your brain on command.
And this chart just lays it out perfectly. It shows the 2 different paths your brain can take. On the left, you've got the hesitation loop. An idea pops up, you pause, your feelings take over, you talk yourself out of it. The result? Nothing. Inaction. But look at the right. You use the rule. The idea hits, you immediately start counting 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This little action activates your prefrontal cortex. That's the thinking part of your brain. By doing that, you bypass all the doubt and jump straight to physical movement. The result? Action. It's that simple.
And this is where the real magic happens. See, the rule isn't about making one giant heroic leap of faith. It's about building momentum through tiny, consistent acts of courage. It teaches you that courage isn't some personality trait you're born with. No, it's a skill. It's a muscle that you can practice and build every single day. Just take Donna's story. She was terrified of public speaking. She's at a conference, and the speaker asks for a volunteer to come on stage. Her gut says do it, but her fear is screaming no. So what does she do? She uses the rule 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and she just went. That one tiny act of courage started a chain reaction, building her confidence for the next time and the next.
And that proves courage isn't a one-and-done deal. It's a habit of persistence. Think about James Dyson, the guy who invented the bagless vacuum. He didn't just get it right on the first try. Get this, he built 5,127 prototypes before he got it right.
That's over 5,000 times he had to find the courage to push past failure and try again.
And this stuff isn't just for business or inventions. It can fundamentally change your personal life. Natasha was so overwhelmed with grief that it was wrecking her relationship. She knew she had to have a difficult conversation with her partner, but was absolutely terrified. She used the rule 5-4-3-2-1 just to open her mouth and start talking. That one moment of courage saved her relationship. And today, they're engaged.
This theme of just pushing through is everywhere you look. Think about the actor Mark Ruffalo. Before he became a superstar, he went on roughly 600 auditions. Can you even imagine the courage it took to face that much rejection day after day and just keep showing up?
And of course, this applies perfectly to health and fitness, something we all struggle with, right? It can help you tackle huge goals, like Mark's challenge to do 5,000 push-ups. But honestly, it's even more powerful for the small daily battles. It's for those moments, like Anouk says, when you really didn't feel like it but did it anyway. The rule is the tool that pushes you past your feelings to do what your future self will thank you for.
So all of this leads us to one final, really important question. What are you waiting for? We all do it. We tell ourselves we're waiting for the right time or for motivation to just magically appear. But the hard truth is, the gap between who you are right now and the person you want to become isn't about not being ready. It's a 5-second decision.
And hey, if you feel this struggle, you're in some seriously good company. Even certified geniuses feel it. While he was writing Hamilton, Lin-Manuel Miranda said this exact thing, that he struggled with not beating himself up and not wasting time while waiting for things to happen. It's a totally universal feeling.
I mean, history is just filled with these 5-second moments. Get this, Michelangelo actually fled Rome for 2 years because he was so scared of painting the Sistine Chapel. Steve Jobs and Wozniak almost turned down the funding that launched Apple. And the game Angry Birds? That was the 52nd game its creators made after 51 straight failures. Their success wasn't because they didn't hesitate. It's because they eventually found the courage to push through it.
So let's bring this all back to you, right now. As you're listening to this, you have an instinct. There's an idea you know you should share, a person you should call, a project you want to start. You are standing at the beginning of that 5-second window right now. So the only question is, what are you going to do? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.